Good afternoon, listeners. I would first of all like to thank the Labour Hour for giving me the opportunity of speaking to you this afternoon in support of my candidature for the Broadmeadows Shire Council. When I was first approached to stand for the vacant seat in the Campbellfield riding of that shire, I felt that I could not consider doing so. But after much thought, I decided to stand. My reasons for this decision were these. The amazingly rapid growth of the Glenroy, Pascoe Vale, Fawkner area has produced many serious problems which are causing great concern to thousands of ratepayers. I am intensely interested in these problems, and I felt that if I could help in some way to find solutions to some of them, it was my duty to offer myself as a candidate at next Saturday's election. Please do not believe that I am self-confidently asserting that as a councillor I can at once find the perfect answer to all these problems. Any man who claimed that would be a fool and would certainly not merit your support. But if earnest endeavour and honest thought can help to solve some of the problems, I can promise you that I will not spare either. Let us look at some of these problems that have sprung from the tremendous and rapid growth of the area. First, there is the fact that street making has fallen very far behind the growth of houses. The Shire engineer recently reported to the council that almost 18 miles of streets were sufficiently built in to warrant their immediate making. Since the council is only getting £80,000 a year by way of overdraft from the Commonwealth Bank for street making, it is obvious that at the present rate it will be 12 years before all these streets, which should be made immediately, can be made. But, of course, by the time these streets are made, in 12 years' time, there will be another 18 or more miles of streets to be made. It is plain that the council must search diligently and continuously for other more generous sources of finance. Perhaps the council is already exploring these possibilities. At least I can promise that if elected, I will keep this great problem always before the minds of councillors. The second problem arises from the first. People are to wait so long for these streets to be made, then they are entitled to relief. In the last 2 years, Campbellfield riding councillors have broken down to some extent the council's policy of doing nothing at all in private streets, so that now the people in a mud track of a street can go to the council as a right and ask for some assistance. I feel that this is a good beginning and could well be extended. The ratepayers in our area are quite willing to help themselves, but they feel that they have a right to expect the council cheerfully and willingly to help them to help themselves. I would like to say a word or two about the very important decisions you will have to make next Saturday on severance and the fifth riding. Time does not permit me to quote all the vital facts and figures concerned, but it has been obvious for years that the only hope for the thickly settled southern part of the Shire, consisting of 28 square miles, lies in cutting off the rural north, consisting of 150 square miles, so that the attention of the council can be concentrated on the pressing problems of the south. If we cannot gain severance, at least let us have a fifth riding to give more adequate representation to the south. The Labour branches in the area, the Progress associations and the Campbellfield riding councillors all favour these moves, and with them I urge you to vote yes to both proposals next Saturday. We must have a large majority for both proposals if we are to gain one or other of the two. If elected, I will do all in my power to carry through these vital movements which were sponsored by your Labour councillors. In nominating me for election to the Broadmeadows Council this month, the Australian Labor Party is keeping its promise of giving Campbellfield riding ratepayers one councillor for each of the large population concentrations in the riding, namely Glenroy, Fawkner and Pascoe Vale. Glenroy has a councillor, Fawkner has a councillor, and now Pascoe Vale must have a councillor if there is to be fair and efficient representation. There are two candidates for the one vacant seat in the Campbellfield riding. One Australian Labor Party candidate and another who calls himself Labor. My opponent lives in Fawkner, which already has a councillor, and he is a member of that organisation which now calls itself the Progressive Labour Party. This party consists of a small group of people in Fawkner who would make use of the word Labour in order to disguise their candidates as endorsed Australian Labour Party candidates. At a recent council by-election, many genuine Labour supporters were tricked into voting for the Progressive Labour Party nominee by means of these tactics. Don't be fooled this time. Their nominee is not the genuine Australian Labour Party candidate. I, Bryan Nelthorpe, carry the endorsement of Labour, and they are opposing Labour in this election. Finally, let me assure you that I am fully conversant with the ratepayers' problems, having lived for 16 years in one of the most neglected areas within the Shire, whilst my business keeps me in daily contact with the ratepayers and their difficulties. I confidently appeal for the support of all true Labour supporters. Polling day is Saturday next, August the 28th. Voting is compulsory and the hours are from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Polling places are as follows: Broadmeadows, the Shire Hall, Campbellfield, Noble's Shop in Sydney Road, Fawkner, the Presbyterian Church Hall in Argyle Street, Glenroy, the Presbyterian Church Hall in Wheatsheaf Road, and Pascoe Vale, the Progress Hall. Remember, vote 1 Nelthorpe. Yes for severance. Yes for the 5th riding. Good afternoon, listeners.